Hi there and welcome to the new Subway NIBFA Today show. My name is Neil Black and I'm the Managing Director of Subway here in Ireland. This is our third year working in conjunction with NIBFA, and using our franchisee network right across the province, we believe there's a natural link between the two organisations, and this has helped facilitate the growth and awareness of football here in Northern Ireland. The new highlight show would be a natural next step as we see it, bringing professional analysis and commentary and hopefully inspiring the kids that are watching these games to push on and be the best that they can be. At Subway, we're proud to be associated with a league that's proving successful in offering a platform for future stars, and there's many kids across the water currently striving to be the best that they can be and hopefully attain that professional contract. So hopefully this show will further inspire those kids and the other kids to dare to dream. Enjoy the show.
Hello and welcome to Subway NIBFA TV. I'm Barry Green and this is the first instalment in a new series of fortnightly shows from Exporte and Subway. Over the course of the season we'll be featuring the very best of the action from the Northern Ireland Boys Football Association. We'll have a Goal of the Month competition and we'll have a special guest on hand every fortnight to provide expert football analysis. Today we'll be joined by the IFA's Coach Education Manager Nigel Best. But before we speak in depth to Nigel, let's have a look at the highlights of our opening match. It features Cliftonville and Bangor's under-18s. It was played at the Dub last week. Cliftonville went into the game unbeaten. On commentary for us, it's Paul Smith.
In the National League under-18 section, Bangor, kitted out in blue and yellow, got the game started. There were plenty of goals in this one, the first of which was scored from distance by Kevin McConnell. 15 minutes later, and he also netted the second. Striker Nathan McFadden was fouled on the edge of the box, and McConnell stroked the free kick into the far corner. A few minutes before half time and Bangor had a goal back. The first shot was saved, but Jamie Lindsay was on hand to finish from 12 yards. This through ball was just out of the reach of their number 10, and it was 2-1 at half time. Into the second half, and Cliftonville were looking to restore their 2-goal cushion. Modesta Nagua saw his shot come back off the upright, and Bangor survived the following melee and Ross Murphy could clear. But it wasn't long before Cliftonville did make it 3-1. The ball seemed to be drifting out of play, and it was pulled back to McFadden, and he made no mistake. Three minutes later and McConnell got his hat-trick. This time it was a strong hit from the edge of the box with his left foot. Bangor hadn't given up hope, but this acrobatic try from Ali Ferguson was off target, and there wasn't much their defenders could do about the next goal. Mark Davey putting in a lofted cross, and it was converted well by John Savage. Robbie Moffat was next on the score sheet. Drilled effort into the corner left James Hart in goal with no chance of saving it. and it was 7-1 before the end. Davy went on a solo run, and although his first shot was saved, he was in the right spot to finish.
Well, we've been joined by the IFA Coach Education Manager here in Northern Ireland, Nigel Best. Nigel, thanks very much for joining us, first of all.
Right, thanks for the invitation, Barry. Yeah.
No problem. Before we get into discussing that game in detail, I wanted to discuss basically the standard of youth football here in Northern Ireland. It certainly continues to grow and develop year on year. I look back to when I was playing, and it's certainly light years ahead now. Where do you see the game here?
I think your summation of that is accurate, because I've noticed development in recent years, and it's a combination of work being done by the NIBFA and other leagues as well, but particularly NIBFA and also the Irish Football Association. And I think there's certainly a connection with the small-sided games programme, which has allowed young people firstly to enjoy the opportunity to play because they're more active, because they get more touches, because there's smaller number of players. But the second point about that is, because it's smaller numbers, technically, as they get more touches the ball, they're inclined to improve on the basis of being able to get those touches. They don't obviously need strong coaching at that point. It's just participation, active involvement, and I think that then develops better quality players going through into the league programmes where it's more structured team play. So that's why I think you're getting a clearly defined improvement in the quality of play.
We certainly saw that in the Cliftonville game against Bangor, particularly by Cliftonville, and there was one standout performance for me. It was from Keevan McConnell, who went on to get 3 goals.
Yeah, when we looked at that match, and obviously you've identified McConnell, but right across the game, when you're looking, especially with the Cliftonville players, again, there was a clear definition of quality emerging out of the game, both in terms of their ability to control play through passing, but also individual performances. And in McConnell's case, the level of technique that he displayed across 3 goals, I think it was a hat-trick, right and left foot, all from different ranges. It's significant to see a young player at that age being able to display that type of quality.
When you come off the back of a defeat like that for the Bangor team, the players and the coaching staff, what advice would you have for them?
Obviously, you don't like to come away with a heavy defeat because you've worked hard to get the team prepared. Or maybe you just need to work a little bit more on defending, because the goal that McConnell gets from a corner kick could have been defended better. They didn't close down on the edge of the box. Probably again another set piece, which was the free kick. So there's 2 set pieces, because I'm not sure that the wall was fully set up in the correct position, which made it difficult then for the goalkeeper. So there's 2 instances, and I think all round in the game, the one thing the Bangor coaches and the players would focus on is the closing down to stop the opposition being able to control the game as much as Cliftonville did.
Thanks very much, Nigel. That win, incidentally, takes the Reds up to 3rd place in the table behind Ards and Crusaders. Let's move on then to the second of our games. It features Dungannon Swifts and Cliftonville's under-16s. It was played at Dungannon. On commentary this time, it's Johnny Martin.
Met in Dungannon on Saturday morning, Swifts in the yellow and Cliftonville in the red. The home side started it strongly, good pressure in the midfield, set up a good period of possession in the final third. Cliftonville then settled and began to enjoy more possession, striker Colin Opong causing problems up front and holding the ball up well. Cliftonville then took the lead in spectacular fashion when Oran Casey's shot from the edge of the area found the top corner. 1-0 to Cliftonville midway through the first half. Dungannon didn't give up though and equalised within 2 minutes when Adam Wright fired powerfully from inside the area. 1-1 and game on for Dungannon. In a tight game, Cliftonville kept coming forward, but this header didn't really trouble Fintan Coney in the Dungannon net. Cliftonville were winning plenty of corners in the first half and were causing problems, but they couldn't score on this occasion. Into the second half now, and a great opportunity for Cliftonville's Oren Braniff, but his effort was easily saved. In an end-to-end game, Dungannon then got the winning goal when Adam Glennie reacted quickest from inside the box to put Dungannon 2-1 ahead. At full time it finished Dungannon Swifts 2, Cliftonville 1.
Well, Nigel, despite being behind, that was an excellent response from Dungannon.
Yes, again, it reflects on attitude and the way coaches are developing resilience in young players, something that I don't think we focus enough on. And if you're looking to develop players to go right through to the higher end, which basically we need to happen in Northern Ireland to sustain both the quality of international teams and our own league, it's important to develop the mental side with young players. And to see a team lose a goal and immediately come back as quickly as it did shows that that's a characteristic they have.
One guy in particular I picked out of that game, in fact we both did, it was the left back Adam Glennie for Dungannon.
Yeah.
He had an assist and he had a goal, and it just shows how pivotal he was in that particular match.
Well, going back to what you said before, when you played or when I played, the roles of players and their position within the team have changed, and he's playing left back, and yet we're looking at him regularly right up in the final third of the pitch. He's crossing the ball in for a goal, he's backing up another attack by eventually scoring a goal, and it was a significant contribution he made from a deep position, as in being a defender. So he looks a talented young player.
And one final word on Dungannon. We spoke about it briefly beforehand, you and I. They've got quite the setup there under Joe McAree. The system, the style of play, it's certainly, again, it's quite sophisticated.
Well, you have to give Joe McAree an awful amount of credit, because he's been working for a long time and developed that whole setup down at Dungannon, both in terms of attracting players, in terms of developing a good style of play, good attitude amongst young people and facilities. And the outcome is the product that they're now getting through at young age groups. And the other interesting thing with them is they've incorporated foreign nationals into the system down there. So at some point down the line, we could have a Portuguese George Best playing for Northern Ireland somewhere. But a lot of credit goes to Joe and all the people involved at Dungannon.
Hopefully that's the case in the not too distant
Yeah,
future as
so.
far as Northern Ireland goes anyway. Okay, now it's time for our Goal of the Month competition for September. We've got 3 absolute smashers from which Nigel will ask you to pick the winner. Let's take a look. So Nigel, goal A, Kevin McConnell, we've seen it a couple of times today. What in particular impresses you about that free kick?
Well, first and foremost, it's the level of technique. Now, you could argue that possibly the defensive wall and the goalkeeper may have made it less likely for him to have that opportunity. But even at that, when you analyse it, he puts that ball way over a metre past the outside post. To get that amount of bend shows really high level technique, and I'm not sure even if the goalkeeper had improved the wall whether he was getting to it. A really high level quality goal. I'm impressed with that one.
It's definitely a contender.
Oh, and there's no doubt you picked one out with that one. I think it's a really good quality goal.
Okay, goal B was an excellent Windmill Stars team goal against Carnini. What a finish this time from John McGovern.
Oh yes, go on. Go on, you got it on. Turn.
So Nigel, goal B from John McGovern. The first goal we saw from Keevan McConnell was an excellent individual goal. This was all about teamwork.
Yeah, the first one was a set piece, but this here reflected good team play, because when you watch the sequence of play, you've got everything that you want to see in youth football. You've got good quality passing, you've got movement of players, you've got good levels of first touch by players, and then you get the strike at goal, one touch to control it, another to set the ball up, and a shot from at least about 23 yards out, right into the corner, and no goalkeeper was stopping that, and a really good team goal with a really good high-level individual finish.
Some effort, wasn't it?
Well, if you saw that in the Irish League any week,
yeah,
or if you saw it on television in England in a senior level game with crowds watching it, everybody would be on their feet clapping that, because it had everything you want to see in football.
Superb. Goal C then was the response in the same game, another fabulous strike, this time from Ben Grucock. Okay then Nigel, goal C, this time another pearler of an effort.
Yeah, well, it's a bit like the first one on the free kick, in that this one again has a lot of bend in it, and you can see he means it, because he's had a look and he's actually just visualised what he was doing with it as he hits it. And the other good thing about the technique, it's first time. It's not easy to hit a controlled shot when the ball's coming towards your body, because you're inclined to play it and it goes up into the air, but he's controlled it. He's put bend on it, and a really good level of technique again on that one.
So 3 goals, which one have you opted for a goal of the month for September?
You have to go for goal number 2, because McGovern's goal on the back of team play and individual technique would be my preference. Goal 1 and goal 3, good goals in their own right, and maybe on another sequence, either of those could have won it, but in this case, got to go for the goal number 2.
So there you go, John McGovern wins our first goal of the month competition for September. Now we take a look at the first of our under-14 games. It features Dungannon United and Glentoran, who could move towards the summit with a win. Again on commentary, Johnny Martin.
Dungannon in the yellow and Glentoran in the green. The Glens started the game strongly and were causing problems in the early stages, especially down the left wing. Again, most of the problems for Dungannon were coming down the left side. Dungannon just about clearing their lines on this occasion. Down at the other end, Dungannon Youth won a corner. The Glens turned defence into attack, and this powerful run from Charlie Lindsay allowed him to get a shot away after a lung-busting run. Michael Forbes then rattled the crossbar for Dungannon Youth from this long-range free kick. Glentoran then opened the scoring in the 30th minute when Connor Falls headed home from inside the area. 1-0 to Glentoran, approaching half-time. Into the second half now, and Glentoran were on top. Elliot Wood done well to cross from the left wing, and Callum Marshall almost made it 2-0. The Grands were piling the pressure on, but on this occasion they couldn't double their lead. The East Belfast side were really pushing for the second goal, but this strike from Callum Marshall seemed an easy save for Rory McHugh in the Dungannon goal. Glentoran did then make it 2-0 when Charlie Lindsay calmly fired home from a tight angle to secure the victory. At full time it finished Dungannon Youth 0, Glentoran 2.
Nigel, a solid performance from Glentoran, a good 2-0 win against Dungannon.
Yeah, the Glentoran youth teams are getting a lot of credit at the moment. They're putting in good performances. The Foyle Cup, I noticed again, Glentoran have done well. And there are one or two individual players in that Glentoran team that we've been looking at that seriously impressed me, particularly Lindsay.
Yeah, Charlie Lindsay played such a key role in that game. He looks like one for the future, doesn't he?
Well, what you're now seeing is what, as a coach, you want to see. You see a young player who can run with the ball at pace, can change direction, he can go off one foot onto the other foot, he commits defenders, and he's composed on his finishing, which we see from one of the goals. And he seriously is one to keep an eye on. And the other thing as well in terms of the coaching aspect, because too often I think coaches tend to look at the whole side of passing and they're setting up passing practices, and they don't allow for the individuality that some players can possess. And this young lad has got that in abundance, so hopefully he continues to develop. We need to keep an eye on him.
Before we move on, it is worth mentioning Dungannon's free kick from Michael Ford.
Well, again, for an entirely different reason, high level technique, considerable power from that distance to hit a ball with that amount of power, that level of accuracy, and he was very unlucky he didn't get a goal out of that.
Thanks again, Nigel. Let's look at Glentoran's second match, which came last week, just 7 days later. This time it was against their big rivals, Linfield, who would come out on top. Let's find out. So a first defeat of the season for Linfield and a superb win then for Glentoran.
Yeah, the Glentoran team went to go down relatively early in the match and displayed a degree of resilience to come back to win 3-1 with a number of good goals and again some high-level individual performances from players on both teams.
What about the Sam Watton goal for Linfield? It was easy on the eye.
Yeah, because I've spoken a number of times about levels of technique, and here's another one where the ball's coming down from the sky and he hits it first time in the volley, and it's so easy in that type of shot to put it way up over the bar. So again, control the ball very, very well and put it into the corner. So that was a really good finish.
You mentioned resilience though, and to come back and to score 3 goals then, it basically gives you a lot as a coach then, gives you a lot of insight into the players that Glentoran have. Yeah,
because it's easy when you go into a match to drop heads at a young age group because you're still developing both physically and mentally. But Glentoran showed that they have the capacity to come back from an early setback. And the other thing I'm beginning to like is, again in this match, you have a number 3 who's willing to go forward and make positive attacking runs and make a contribution. And in this case, it was, I think, Wallace.
Yeah.
And the other player that we've spoken about is Lindsay, making positive runs again at defenders, committing them and forcing mistakes. So there are 2 good players in that Glentoran team.
Yeah, again, Charlie Lindsay had the run at the end. I don't think his shot was quite going in, was it?
It wasn't the most beautiful goal, but you've got to give him credit because he's run at the defence, he's committed defenders, he's committed the goalkeeper, and he's got the good luck of the ball bouncing off into one of his the opposition players, and it counts as an own goal. I think that's unfortunate because I ain't giving him the credit.
But again, it goes to show the standard right throughout the NIBFA, Nigel, nowadays.
Yeah, because you look at that, and it's not just kicking the ball from the bottom end of the pitch to the top end. Teams look to be trying to play through the 3/3 of the pitch, and they're playing with purpose, which is showing good work by the coaches. It's also indicating the players are turning up for training sessions. It also indicates that the players are taking on board the information they're getting and they're willing to put it out on the pitch. And again, I think important to say that because there's less like what you'd have thought was a threatening atmosphere, it used to be with parents shouting and so forth, young people are now more confident that they can at least attempt things on the pitch. That's why you're getting high-level technique and you're getting good performances because they're now got a degree of confidence that they're not going to be constantly shouted at.
Great, Nigel. Thanks very much for joining us today. I hope you enjoyed it.
Did indeed, and I really enjoyed that. It was a pleasure being here.
Thank you. Thanks very much. Thanks also to you for tuning in. We'll see you again in 2 weeks' time when we'll have more of the best action from the NIBFA scene. Do help us spread the word by sharing on the usual social media channels. Finally, if you want to get in touch with us, you can drop us a message either on Facebook or on Twitter via the NIBFA or Exporte pages. Until next time, we'll see you then.